fathers will understand.
I told you he was an awesome dad.
Welcome back to Dudela. I am Michael Colander, joined by John Mulhern and Caitie Schwein. Caitie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Love having you here, Caitie. We brought you on because, as you know, we've titled this whole thing the Dudela Podcast, and we thought, well, you know, maybe before we get too far down the road here, we should talk to an actual doula since we based our whole thing off of the name. So we decided to bring you on. So thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think what you guys are doing here is awesome, and I'm happy to be a part of it. You're on the right track. Doula and a doula, it fits hand in hand, and I'm sure we'll get more into that, but I'm excited to see where it goes today.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you approve of the name, because I know there have been some people that are a little confused by the name, but you know, I think it's going to catch on for us.
I've heard Siri call it Dudela when she talks to me, so I got to train her to tell her, get the pronunciation.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Totally. Well, Caitie, I would love to start by just maybe a little bit about yourself, where you're from, family, and then tell us a little bit about like how you got into the doula world. I know that you've got a really cool background that kind of makes your experience a little bit more unique. So we'd just love to hear a little bit more about you before we dive in.
Definitely. Yeah, I was born here in Colorado, have lived here most of my life. After undergrad, I went to PA school, San Antonio. So always wanted to be in the medical field, felt a calling, and felt like PA was the perfect place for me. And so I went to San Antonio, did the whole thing. It was a 3-year program. Wow. Had just gotten married prior to school, so we moved down there together into a whole new world, a new city, and a new career. And after PA school, we moved back to Denver. Knew we wanted to start a family soon, and so family was here, and it made like the most sense for us to be back here. So we moved back. We now have 2 little boys, almost 3-year-old and an almost 1-year-old.
Let's go.
Some summer birthdays coming up. And being a mom is just the best thing. I thought being a PA would be the best thing ever. And for a short while it was before I became a mom. And then becoming a mom just changed my world and changed my life. Going from being a PA into this new doula world was quite interesting. During PA school, I really loved my OB rotations. And so people are like, how did you make the shift from being a PA to a doula? Well, that's truly it. My rotations in OB, being on labor and delivery, working with the moms who were expecting or had just had their babies and were like freshly postpartum, just touched my heart. And I found myself so emotionally connected to obstetrics. And I was like, okay, how do I do this as a PA? It's tough to get into that realm as a PA. A lot of PAs in obstetrics end up doing office visits and that kind of stuff, more of the gynecology side instead of the OB side. And so I felt this lacking of, I can't be involved as much as I'd like. How can I do this? And so that's what led me to becoming a doula. And now I can be a lot more involved in the obstetric side of things, pregnancy, birth, and postpartum as well.
For a relatively dumb male, what is the difference between OB and the GYN? Because I always lump those things together. OBGYN?
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't really.
Did you also know that it was pronounced
obstetrics.
obstetrics?
That one. I've heard it said before. I didn't know. So what's the difference between OB and then the GYN side?
There's a little bit of overlap. Gynecology in general is like women's health, right? So all of the things from menstruation to pregnancy to you name it. I mean, anything women's health, right? Obstetrics specifically is pregnancy.
Gotcha.
And babies.
Okay. Good to know.
Amazing.
Now you know, John.
Now I know.
Now you know.
Now I know. So you've gone from the kind of the medical side of things in the PA world, got this like burning desire to be more in the labor and delivery side of things. And that led you to explore what it looks like to be a doula. So, okay, let's dive in. Well, tell us about your practice. Tell us about what brought you here and kind of where you're at today.
Yes. So for me, having had 2 babies now, both of my experiences were quite different. First one, of course, first time mom, first time pregnancy. Kirby and I had absolutely no idea what we were doing, as most first-time parents feel. Yeah. So we didn't really know what to expect, didn't really know what a doula was, just kind of went with the flow. And then the second time around, I was like, okay, there's things I would like to do differently. How can these things be made different? And I learned about what a doula was. Didn't end up having one for our second pregnancy, but I felt like I was able to implement a lot of things in the second pregnancy that I had no idea about in the first. And so for me, having those drastically different pregnancies, as well as, and most importantly, labor and delivery experiences, that for me was crucial in wanting to give back in that realm. Like, I knew I loved pregnancy and birth and postpartum care for moms, but having had the 2 experiences, I was like, I need to make a difference for these first-time moms who were just like me in that state of unknowing and, confusion and not having done this before. How can I help them? How can I reach them so that they have what I had the second time around, which was a much better experience?
What was one of the biggest things that was a difference between your second and your first, that you learned from what you were doing that you implemented in your second pregnancy?
I think the biggest thing, and one of the things I've founded my business Beyond Birth around, is that you have a say and you can choose and you can advocate for your desires and your wishes and your wants as a family having a child, as well as being a pregnant mother who's having a child. There's just so many things surrounding the birth world that are standard, or that they tell you are standard, that this is just how we do things. But for me, the second time around, I just felt like I had more choice and more understanding about what was happening, and that I could advocate for those things. And as a family, we could say, no, this is what we want for our experience. This is what we want for our baby. And just seeing the 2 different sides of that, thinking first time mom, I have to just go by the book and do everything as scripted, versus second time around being like, you know what, there are options. What are those options, and which option do I want?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Well, you mentioned the name Beyond Birth. I would love to hear more about how you kind of decided that and what it means for your business.
Yeah, so a doula's primary role is to support, right? And that includes both the pregnant mom as well as the family as a unit, including the dads. And so I knew that I wanted something that would share my goals for supporting a family or a mom. But when thinking about different things, I found that it wasn't just the birth itself. And a lot of people think, oh, you gave birth, you had a doula at the hospital with you, or at your home birth, or wherever you gave birth, your doula was there to support you. Yes, absolutely. That is what doulas do. But for me, something that I think is so important is going beyond birth, supporting the mom during her pregnancy, supporting the dad during that pregnancy, teaching him how he can help her, how he can help his family. And then on the contrary, postpartum as well, doulas can be in all 3 of those realms. So it's not just about being there for your birth and supporting you through labor and delivery or your C-section or whatever the birth process looks like. It's not just that. It's pregnancy leading into birth and then postpartum as well. How can I support families throughout all of that?
How long do you think, how early do you think it's useful having a doula? And then how long post delivery do you think it's
Yeah, great question. It really can vary based on the family. Some doulas will start early in a pregnancy. If a particular couple is saying, oh yeah, let's find a doula, we can meet up early in a pregnancy and go over expectations, especially again for those first timers that have no clue what to expect. We can talk about, hey, what's pregnancy going to look like? How can I support you in various ways throughout your pregnancy? What is going to happen at your next appointment? How can we calm those nerves about that appointment? What should you know going into that appointment? So that's part of it early on if you are so desiring, as a family. Some people hire doulas later on. Maybe they didn't know what a doula was, or that they could have one or wanted one, and they can hire us later. You can meet somebody in the 30s weeks of pregnancy and, do all of that, but in a condensed format, leading up to the birth. The last couple of months, you can still fit in, information sessions. How can I help you, through the end of your pregnancy? And then again, on the backside of things, postpartum can last, anywhere from days to weeks, several months. There's postpartum specific doulas as well, who you can actually hire to come in and help with things, after you've had your baby, help with housework and chores and all those things that pile up. So there's really a full spectrum of ways that doulas can help a new family. Yeah.
That's cool. On your Instagram, you talk about being kind of a holistic prenatal, birth, and postpartum doula. So it sounds like you do it all.
Yeah, that's my goal, is to, again, support families as early on as possible. Really, I'd love to connect with families as early as possible and be able to help them. Again, those first-time families are the ones that are really near and dear to my heart. I've been there and done that, and I hope that I can help those families that maybe don't know what they're going through. I will say, too, the birth component of being a doula is kind of what doula training and doula stereotypes kind of revolve around. And so a lot of people think like, oh yeah, doula comes to the birth to support you in your birth. And that is absolutely 100% true. And that's kind of the crux of what we do, which we can absolutely dive into. But I just want people to know that it's not just birth. It's before, it's after. There's a lot of parts to it.
Yeah. Well, and we both know that help at all times is welcomed.
No kidding. Like on a scale from you create the playlist for birth all the way through to being a coach on the sidelines. Like where do you fit? Or you are all of the above?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think one thing cool that you guys are doing, is reaching those dads who may otherwise feel like they're not involved or they don't have a place. And I think a dad in this process is very similar to what a doula would provide. Now, I have training in certain things that can help through labor and such, right? And some of the medical background, maybe a dad doesn't have that, but your goal is the same as mine, and that's to help the birth process go as smoothly as possible. So yeah, I can relate to that.
All friends. Do you have what would be your top 3 tips for dads, for doulas in the just whole process of it, of tips or just anything? Do you have 3 things that are kind of your most important that are you tell dads hey, make sure you're doing this, or don't say that? I mean, we know a lot of things not to say.
Plenty of things not to say.
What are the things to say?
Sure. It's an interesting question because there's so many things, and it kind of depends on the partnership with you and your wife, and her personality too. One thing that I like to talk to, expectant moms and families about is, what are your goals for the birth process? Are you having a C-section? Are you having vaginal delivery? What does it look like? Yeah. And where do you find that you need the most support? And I love looping dads in on this conversation. It's so important for the mom to have the support of her partner there. And so one thing I think dads can absolutely do is just ask questions. So that it's always one thing I like to start with is ask your wife questions. Ask her what she needs. Ask her what she wants. What are her goals out of this process? And that kind of leads a lot of further discussion. So that would be one tip I have, is just ask questions. Figure out what she wants. And on my front, asking a family questions. What do you guys want? What does this look like for you? A couple other tips I would say, don't let yourself feel, I know it's hard, don't let yourself feel like you're not important. Because you are. Your support is so important to her, and that a lot of dads, I think, are kind of uncertain and unsure, and it kind of makes them withdraw from the experience because they feel like they don't know what they're doing, or they don't have the right answers, or they don't don't withdraw. Be involved, because you are so important, and she needs you.
Yeah. Well, and we probably don't need to be the ones that give the answers. We need the ones that can listen to her complain about how bad her back hurts, right? And needs a little snuggle time or a back rubber. Hey, let's go get you the ice cream at 10:30 at night. That's
bring all the food.
Yeah, I learned that one. But don't bring the stuff that makes her sick. If you bring that into the house, you may as well sleep outside too.
Honestly.
Good luck figuring it out. It's different every time.
Yeah, exactly.
you mentioned like stereotypes of a doula. Are there any broad misconceptions of what a doula does? I mean, I'm thinking of the first time I heard of the phrase doula, I was picturing somebody just like kneeling next to a woman giving birth in a bathtub at home and guiding her through the process. But clearly that's not all that you do. So what other misconceptions are out there?
That's fair. That is definitely something we could do, right? Is offer that verbal encouragement and support. I think one thing that makes a doula, trained doula, a certified doula, specifically a doula, is that our goal is to help support and advocate when a woman may not otherwise know what she wants, like helping her think through things and helping her make those decisions, maybe in the moment, okay, can we do this or should we do this? Or what's the next step in the labor process, and being almost a voice of reason while supporting her, so that she has someone that's not as emotionally invested in the process as maybe her partner is, someone that's kind of on the outside looking in and saying, okay, which options do we have? Which one would you like? Yeah. What does this look like for each person? It's very different. Yeah. And that's part of that prenatal visit type of thing, getting to know a family before we jump into labor and delivery, right? Yeah. Like getting to know what she wants, what the family wants, and then saying, okay, we talked about these things. This is what you want, but like the situation is offering you this, or just helping her and her spouse make sense of everything going on. Another specific thing that a doula would do that people maybe aren't aware of or misconceive is that a doula has specific training on pain relief. That's a lot of what we do. So physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain all play a role in labor and delivery. And so a lot of times women are surprised at the pain, right? Unless you've had a child before, especially a first-time mom is going to have no idea what contractions are like, what is labor like, right? So a doula also serves a big role in like, how can we help with your pain? Whether that's, again, emotional, mental, physical, emotional pain, right? It can be as much as like, I'm not getting the birth I want right now. I'm stuck in this situation where things aren't going the way I want. How can we resolve that and help her feel better about what is happening, in the heat of the moment of labor? How can I help support her through that?
As well, too, being from the medical kind of wing of things, you would know how to step in and advocate for her or help her partner do that. Like, that's huge. And even to your point of, we help them know what questions to ask. Earlier you said, like, my goal is to really get clear on what you want and then help you roll that all the way through. I remember going through my experience and being like, I don't really know what we're supposed to want.
Well, you don't know that there's options. You don't know what the options are. It's like, hey, this is what we suggest. It's like, okay.
We'll do that one.
There's the other option.
You went to 15 years of medical school. You must know more than I do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that would maybe be one of the biggest misconceptions you asked about specifically is like, does a doula choose for me? Does a doula make decisions for me? We don't. That's not the goal. It's not to tell you what you should do or what you need to do. It's to help support you in what you want to do, if feasible, right? Of course, the circumstance dictates things, but it's to support you and figure out what do you want, because you both have had children of your own. Your wives have gone through this process. A woman in labor has no idea what she wants. I mean, she likes to think she does, but it gets to a point, if you're around it any small fraction of your life, you don't know, because the heat of the moment is just too intense. And so you need someone to help you that, again, it's not emotionally connected like maybe your spouse would be.
So good. All right. Talk straight to the dads now. What is like one thing that you wish dads knew, like from day one, that most dads don't seem to know?
Are you talking about pregnancy specifically, or labor and delivery, or being a dad?
I'm thinking experiences that you've kind of navigated as your time in and around pregnancy, labor and delivery, post. Like, what is one thing that comes up and you're like, man, I just wish this guy knew this ahead of time. He could have saved himself and her so much aggravation, so much pain. Like, what's one thing that's like, you know what, fellas, if you walk away from this with one thing, make sure you do this thing.
That your support is super valuable. I think a lot of guys don't realize that. It's so important to have the support of the dad. And again, that can come in a variety of ways, depending on who your lady is. But I think guys sell themselves short all too often. And so I think my one piece of advice to a dad or a soon-to-be dad is trust yourself. Like, you're in this position for a reason. It takes two to make a baby, right? It takes two to care for one. So trust that you are important to the process.
Yeah.
So good.
Dads, be there. That's it. Be there and show up.
Be there.
Yeah.
And that looks like a variety of different things.
Yeah.
But I think women sense when you're involved. And like you said, just show up for her. It's so important.
Yeah. No, that makes a ton of sense. Because I've seen, when my wife was pregnant and if she was up in the middle of the night, like, even if I just rolled over and asked if she was okay, like, that meant a lot. And then I also heard the other side of it, where when she was, up in the middle of the night and I was sleeping, she was like, I hate you for sleeping right now because I can't. So I get it. Pretty easy. Show up and listen.
Be there.
And just do whatever they need. Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
Your help with diapers is huge. Your help with whether it's nursing, bottle feeding, all the things, feeding.
Yeah.
Huge.
We were bonding about that when you got here about, well, with kids in the house, you got to be multitasking. Something has to be being cleaned at any minute. My washing machine is almost going in perpetuity.
Yep.
My dishwasher is always full of something.
And you've got stains on at least one thing that you're wearing. Just the way that
You're lucky if you walk out the door looking okay.
Yep. Exactly.
So good. Okay. Want to hit you with some lightning questions before we wrap up. Okay. So I'm going to just ask you the question. First thing that comes to your
Is
mind.
this like a one-word answer type of thing, or?
I'll just dive in. What's your first thought when somebody says birth plan?
Excellent. Great idea.
Great.
Have one.
What's your favorite baby name that you've heard this year?
I love the name Noah.
Noah.
Boy or girl.
Boy or girl.
I really like it.
Heard a girl, Noah.
That's
Okay.
great.
Okay.
Okay. Would you rather attend a 36-hour birth or plan a toddler birthday party?
Ooh. Both fun.
Fun. That is not where I thought. I don't think I would.
I can't choose. Both of those sound fun. I'm a planner. I like planning parties.
I would 1,000% plan a birthday party before 36 hours in the hospital.
I guess it depends on how many toddlers.
Well, you're planning it. You're not putting it on. Like, I can plan an awesome birthday party for a 3-year-old. Get some bouncy castles.
It's true.
Like,
That's true.
It would be sweet. Do I have to be there, though? That's the question.
Mhm. You do.
Then the answer
You
might
do.
change.
And you probably have to clean it up.
Yeah, okay, we're at the hospital.
Okay. What's the funniest thing you've seen a dad do during labor?
Faint.
Really?
You've seen
Whether
it.
that's
Funny or not, you create another patient for the staff.
They did tell me we have 3 patients. We don't need a 4th when Viv was giving birth.
Huh.
I didn't really quite put that together when that.
I mean,
That's fun.
it's funny. As long as everything's okay, it's pretty funny.
Do they just
knocked
hit
out
the
cold.
ground, just gone, just down? Oh, boy.
Usually there's someone to catch them, or a chair is slid strategically under them.
Because you can kind of see it coming
See it
from them.
building.
You can see them
see
kind
it
of start
building.
the wobbles. Oh, gosh.
Just getting the shakes. Get the
yeah,
chair.
Knees are getting weak. Arms are heavy. Yep.
eyes glazed over.
Down he goes.
So in your time, I'm guessing you've had a decent bit of hospital food. Is there any hospital that is just like well above and beyond others? Or maybe on the other side of things, terrible?
I would say they're all average.
Mhm.
I gave birth at Castle Rock Hospital.
Mhm.
I would say theirs is above average.
Above average.
Good food. The best part about it, they actually send you home with food when you
Whoa.
get discharged.
It's massive.
They send you home with a pizza and a big bowl of salad.
That's pretty cool.
It's clutch those first few days at home.
Do you have a go-to order at a hospital. That is like a safe, like, we're going to get a turkey sandwich because that's a hard thing to mess up. Or like chicken fingers. Or, is there something you always see on there? You're like, yeah, I'm staying away from the hospital salmon. Like, I saw that at ours and I was like, no shot. Like, we're in Colorado.
They were offering prime rib at
Yeah, no, I'm out on that one.
I'd go to, I don't know. I would say there's some research to support like a warm, hearty meal after you've given birth and keep the insides warm and cozy. So I've done like a pot roast. I feel like that's kind of hard to mess up. Okay. Some meat and veggies, mashed potatoes.
I'm a big Jell-O person.
Putting a lot of trust in your hospital chef with that dinner right there. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been disappointed with the pot roast.
Okay. Good to know.
All right.
Something warm and cozy is always a good idea.
Okay.
I hammered the Jell-O. I ate a whole lot of Jell-O in the hospital.
My husband lives for hospital fridge food. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Jell-O.
went back into the snack room, and I was like, all right, what do we got in here? I think Abigail needs this. I think she needs this and this and this. And then she's like, I don't want any of that.
You're just walking by the clerk desk with it.
If you're anything like my husband, you will walk back and forth from the nourishment room several times after delivery, saying that, oh, she's hungry. Yep. She's just really hungry. Yep. The food's not for her.
Yeah. Nope. This was about the same.
What is something that you cannot forget at home when you're on your way to the hospital to give birth?
Am I giving birth or am I supporting birth?
This is to a dad to be within the next 12 to 40 hours. That's
a good question. I would say something super important is her pillow. Sounds crazy, but hospital pillows, not so good.
No bueno.
So bring her pillow.
Okay, great.
Or a blanket or something cozy from home because the sheets are just scratchy.
This one's just my own curiosity. Do you have like a doula bag with stuff? What's one thing in there that would like surprise me?
A comb? Have you heard of a labor comb?
Never heard of a labor comb.
My imagination is going.
What are you combing?
It's going a lot of ways.
Pain relief strategy.
What?
So you put the comb with the teeth on your palm and you squeeze it during a contraction. The woman does, not you.
That sounds fun. I'm kind of into it. Maybe it'll help me from fainting.
Create enough of a discomfort and a change in sensation that it takes some of the pain away from the contraction.
That's so cool.
Awesome. Okay.
Surprised you with that?
Next
Another good one is a TENS unit. Have you heard of like an e-stim or like a,
what we did in college with
the things.
Call it TENS. Yeah, the little patches with the electrical. Yeah. That's another thing I carry with. That's super good for pain relief. On the back, if she's having bad contractions, or if she had strange pain, I guess in a leg or something, you could use it there. But typically on their lower back, and same thing, like sensation to draw the pain away from the contraction.
Interesting. So next time I twist my ankle, I'm getting Abigail's comb and I'm just gonna squeeze it and see if it helps.
So good.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I'm a big fan.
Labor comb.
Big fan.
Labor combs.
So good. Well, Caitie, I think we've kind of got to get a whole picture of what your journey has been like. I just want to, like, for your own business, like, where can we find you? Where can we learn? If somebody's curious and wants to get your advice or assistance, where do they find you? Where do we go from here?
Yeah, thanks for that, John. I have an Instagram page. It's Beyond Birth Denver.
Beyond Birth Denver.
Beyond Birth Denver. Great. Yep. There's several other Beyond Births, not in Denver, apparently. Too, so great. So yeah, find me on Instagram. I also have a page on Facebook, kind of a community page, just for asking questions, information, sharing stories, kind of networking with other moms and dads in the same stage of life or pregnancy. And then working on a website.
Perfect. Awesome. Love that. So when that launches, you let us know. We'll get it sent around so that we can get people reaching out to you for sure. Definitely. Cool. Well, Mike, you got anything else?
I don't think so. Thanks so much.
We
learned a lot. Learned about labor combs. Mm-hmm. We learned about, the most important thing, dads, show up and be supportive. Absolutely. And everything else will take care of itself, kind of. And have a doula.
You guys know the right
Go get a doula.
Like I said, doula and doula goes hand in hand. Huge support role. That's the goal, right? Is to make it the most seamless process. It's never going to be pain-free, but ideally, most support, least amount of pain.
Yeah.
Good situation for everybody. Healthy mom, healthy baby. Everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy. You got that little loaf of bread that you get to hold afterwards, and then your life will never be the same.
Thanks, Caitie. Really appreciate it.
Daddy out! Dad!
It's a lot of lights, Dad.
You fathers will understand.
I told you he was an awesome dad.